Wouldn't it be great if you could be more honest, without damaging other people or yourself, and without pretending to practice radical honesty, which we know is a lie? I'm Neil Bierbaum, Master Certified Coach, and I've spent 20 years and 10,000 hours testing what actually works. In this video, I'll show you 2 simple things that are stopping you from being more honest with yourself and with others. And presuming you want to move on that track to being more honest, I'll show you a fast and direct track to start practicing, one that doesn't require years of therapy or anything, just a little bit of self-awareness and some courage. And it's not something that requires you convincing yourself. Once you see it, it's so obvious you'll be like, duh. And first, to put this in context, in case you haven't seen my previous videos, and if you have, use the chapter markers to jump ahead. In those videos, I showed you how you can be honest and authentic without being, well, entirely honest all the time, at least not in the way that people usually see honesty. In the first of those videos, I shredded the claim of radical honesty, the notion that every thought must be expressed or you're being fake. I showed how you can only claim to practice radical honesty if you lack awareness about what's really going on in your mind. I also showed that it's selfish. It's all about you. And I gave you some arguments to use against people who say cruel and unnecessary things in the name of radical honesty. In the more recent video of those 2, I introduced what I call the 3 levels of honesty framework. And the first level of honesty is with yourself, which I said is compulsory, though not easy. I said that helps you to own what you're really thinking and feeling so it doesn't spill out in the wrong way when you deal with the actual situation that you need to be honest about. The second level is honesty with someone else outside the situation, which is recommended because it helps you to further own your stuff. And the third level is to be honest with the people concerned, which I said is optional and should be based on what's best for the person or the situation involved. So you might not say everything that's on your mind for the sake of, say, not killing the vibe in the room. You're still being authentic because you're being true to your good intention to do what's best for the people or the situation. The key is that you're willing to tell the truth, to come clean immediately when you're challenged. You don't add the second layer of cover-up. All of this amounts to a new perspective on honesty and a new definition for authenticity. It's a lot to take in. You'll need to watch those videos. I also realized in making those videos that I may have made some assumptions. The main one being that people find it easy to be honest with themselves and with others and can easily find that point of being able to come clean when they need to. Based on the feedback I got, a lot of people struggle to reach the point of being honest enough in the first place, let alone come clean after they've told a white lie, even if it was with good intention. Now, that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to look at how you become more honest with yourself, more open in sharing your truth with others at the second level and the third level, and how do you become more willing to come clean and tell the truth when you're challenged on something you've said or haven't said. For example, your kid is going to the dentist tomorrow. He had a bad experience the last time, so he's scared. You say it will be fine, but it's a general anesthetic, and you're also a little nervous. Your kid says to you, aren't you also scared, Daddy or Mommy? Or you're late for a meeting. You made up a story about traffic, but it's the 3rd time in a row and your boss asks you in front of everyone what's really going on. Or maybe you're the boss. Your team has missed a deadline and you're pretending to let it go. And then one of them says to you, I can't believe you're not angry after what happened. And I'm sure we can think of some more sensitive topics too, like your wife has asked you if she looks fat in those jeans, or your friend has asked why you haven't been in contact for some time. As always, we'll look at this through ontological first principles. Ontology is the study of the nature of being. Ontological coaching is a path by which you learn to observe your own experience directly, not through studies, but through your own awareness, and see things that scientists can't measure, things you can only experience for yourself. You'll see it directly. You won't need me or any researcher to convince you. So why do we hold back from telling the truth? There are 2 main reasons. The first is we feel inadequate. This is the whole principle that underlies the development of ego. We all feel some core shame about the way we really are. And from early on, we learn to adjust so that we can fit in and be accepted. It comes with the packaging of being alive. It's the way it is, and it starts early. So let's say your older siblings are talking about some new music artist, or maybe they're talking about sex, and you don't quite know what they're talking about, but you pretend to. There it is already. And then they tease you about it. How do you react? Well, there's a 99% chance that you add a layer of cover-up, and you get upset when they don't believe you. You maybe even try to convince yourself. Maybe you feel ashamed for not knowing. even though objectively it's okay because you're still young. Now let's flip that situation on its head and ask, what would be needed for you to come clean when they tease you? And just admit you don't know without it affecting you. We know this happens in the workplace all the time, right? We're always pretending to know, and when we get challenged, we add that second layer. What would it take for you to just come clean and say, I don't know? Well, let's do the exercise. Put yourself in that situation, either the young child or the work situation, and pretend you're owning up to just not knowing. Walk yourself through the scenario. You just say, yes, you're right, I don't know. And you're unaffected by it. It takes some emotional maturity, right? So there's a clue. But putting that aside, pretend you're capable and do it in your imagination. And now ask yourself, what's needed inside you to be able to do that? Pause the video if you need to and do the exercise. Have you done it? Okay, here's what I say you probably found. To be able to come clean in that situation, you had to care less about what they think of you. And how do you care less? Well, one way is to not care in a cynical way, like, oh, I don't care. But that's just you trying to convince yourself, which means you're lying to yourself. The other is to genuinely, authentically not care, because you feel genuinely, authentically okay about yourself. And you don't need other people's approval. You're connected to your own inner voice. You can rely on yourself for affirmation. But more deeply than that, you accept yourself as you are. You're enough. You're okay. Think about it. If you're 100% okay with who you are, you don't need to pretend or cover up. It becomes easier to tell the truth. You just hand it over. And the second reason why you might not tell the truth is that you're not just trying to control people's impression of you, you're trying to control outcomes. In the example with your siblings, maybe you're angling to be accepted because you know that they're going to some event, some party, some concert, and you want to go too. Or your wife asks if she looks fat in the jeans and you want some action tonight. Or your birthday's coming up, whatever. This can be more serious too, like when you're challenged by your boss and you're angling for a promotion. Or you're doing a sales pitch and you start saying all sorts of things so you can land the deal. You get the picture. Now do that exercise from earlier, once again. Think of a situation where you're being or have been less than honest because you're angling to get something or have something go your way. Notice how strong the link is between trying to steer the outcome to what you want and your readiness, willingness, your spontaneous tendency to bend or withhold the truth or to cover up and add the second layer when you've been challenged. Conversely, to not come clean. Imagine for a minute that you didn't mind what happened in that situation. Can you see how much easier it would be to tell the truth, to come clean? So in this case, being able to tell the truth is about being okay with what happens in the world. In other words, accepting whatever happens, knowing that you'll be okay no matter what the outcome of the situation. If you don't get to go to the party, you'll be okay. If you don't get sex tonight or a nice birthday present, you'll be okay. If you don't get the promotion or land the deal. To the degree that you're okay with those things not happening, you can tell the truth. As proof of what I'm saying, think about a situation where you really don't care what the other person thinks of you. Someone who, say, pushes into the traffic queue at the exit of a mall. You'll tell them exactly what you think, right? There's no one watching, no social norms or self-image to uphold, no long-term consequence to deal with. In fact, they can't even hear you. They're in the other car. So you give them a piece of your mind. You'll notice I use the word acceptance again in this context, accepting the reality, the outcome. So we can see that being honest is really about acceptance. The more you accept yourself in the first instance, and the more you accept outcomes or the reality of whatever happens in the second, the more honest you can be. The more readily and willingly you'll tell the truth or come clean when you've told a white lie and you're challenged. Or you'll tell the truth in the first place. So by increasing your self-acceptance and acceptance of reality, you can increase your level of honesty. It's that simple. And you can do this in one of two ways. Firstly, work on your self-acceptance and acceptance of reality and spend years in therapy trying to get there. Or there's a fast-track way. Simply test the boundaries by being more honest and then see what happens, gather the evidence. Did they really think bad of you? And if they did, how real was that impact? Did things still not go the way you'd hoped? And even if not, how much did that matter in the end? What you'll find is that the impact of telling the truth is a lot less consequential than you've always feared. In fact, it might even be better. It will certainly have a better impact on you when you gain that clarity and you get that stuff off your chest and you're not carrying that energy around with you. And so as you do this, basing it on the evidence, you'll naturally become more honest and grounded in that honesty, and it'll become a habit. It can happen very fast. In fact, you might even become radically honest. But it would be authentic because it would be deliberately created by you, and you'd know your limits and you'd admit to them. You'd come clean on when and why you might not have been honest in some situations, instead of trying to convince yourself and everybody else that you're 100% honest all the time. I'm Neil Bierbaum, Master Certified Coach with 20 years and 10,000 hours testing what actually works in the real world, not just in theory. Subscribe for more self-help based on ontological first principles that you can test yourself. And let me know in the comments what boundaries you push as a result of watching this video and how that goes for you. I read everything and I want to know what you're facing so I can help. Because your best self deserves better.